Chapter 22. "Good morning," said the little prince. "Good morning," said the railway switchman. "What is that you do here?" asked the little prince. "I sort travels into bundles of 1,000, the switchman said. "I dispatch the trains and carry 'em, sometimes to the right, sometimes to the left." And a brightly lit express train, roaring like thunder, shook the switchman's cabin. "What a hurry they're in," the little prince said. "What are they looking for?" "Not even the engineer of the locomotive knows," the switchman said. And another brightly lit express train thundered by in the opposite direction. "Are they coming back already?" asked the little prince. "It's not the same ones," the switchman said. "It's an exchange." "They weren't satisfied where they were?" asked the little prince. "No one is ever satisfied where he is," the switchman said. And a third brightly lit express train thundered past. "Are they chasing the first travelers?" asked the little prince. "They're not chasing anything," the switchman said. "They're sleeping in there, or else they're yawning. Only the children are pressing their nose against the window panes." "Only the children know what they're looking for," said the little prince. "They spend their time on a rag doll, and it becomes very important, and if it's taken away from them, they cry." "They're lucky," the switchman said. Chapter 23. "Good morning," said the little prince. "Good morning," said the sales clerk. This was a sales clerk who sold pills invented to quench thirst. Swallow one a week and you no longer feel any need to drink. "Why do you sell these pills?" "They save so much time," the sales clerk said. "Experts have calculated that you can save 53 minutes a week." "And what do you do with those 53 minutes?
"Whatever you like."
"If I had 53 minutes to spend as I liked," the little prince said to himself, "I'd walk very slowly to a water fountain." Chapter 24. It was now the 8th day since my crash landing in the desert, and I listened to the story about the sales clerk as I was drinking the last drop of my water supply. "Ah," I said to the little prince, "your memories are very pleasant, but I haven't yet repaired my plane, and I have nothing to drink, and I too would be glad to walk very slowly towards a water fountain." "My friend the fox told me—" "Little fellow, this has nothing to do with the fox." "Why?" "Because I'm going to die of thirst." The little prince didn't follow my reasoning and answered me. "It's good to have a friend, even if you're going to die. Myself, I'm very glad to have a fox for a friend." "He doesn't realize the danger," I said to myself. "He's never hungry or thirsty. A little sunlight is good enough for him." But the little prince looked at me and answered my thought. "I'm thirsty too. Let's find a well." I made an exasperated gesture. It is absurd looking for a well at random in the vastness of a desert, but even so, we started walking. When we had walked for several hours in silence, night fell and the stars began to appear. I noticed them, as in a dream, being somewhat feverish on my account of thirst. The little prince's words danced in my memory. "So you're thirsty too?" I asked. But he didn't answer my question. He merely said to me, "Water can also be good to the heart." I didn't understand his answer, but I said nothing. I knew by this time there was no use in questioning him. He was tired. He sat down. I sat down next to him. And, after a silence, he spoke again. "The stars are beautiful because of a flower you don't see," I answered. "Yes, of course." And without speaking another word, I stared at the ridges of sand in the moonlight. "The desert is beautiful," the little prince added, and it was true. I've always loved the desert. You sit on a sand dune. You see nothing. You hear nothing. And yet something shines, something sings in that silence. "What makes the desert beautiful," the little prince said, "is what hides a well somewhere." I was surprised by suddenly understanding that mysterious radiance of the sands. When I was a little boy, I lived in an old house, and there was a legend that a treasure was buried in it somewhere. Of course, no one was ever able to find the treasure. Perhaps no one even searched, but it cast a spell over my whole house. My house hid a secret in the depths of its heart. Yes, I said to the little prince, whether it's a house or the stars or the desert, what makes them beautiful is invisible. I'm glad, he said. You agree with my thoughts. As the little prince was falling asleep, I picked him up in my arms and started walking again. I was moved. It was as if I was carrying a fragile treasure. It actually seemed to me that there was nothing more fragile on earth. By the light of the moon, I gazed up at his pale forehead, those closed eyes, those locks of hair trembling in the wind. And I said to myself, what I'm looking at, it's only his shell. What's most important is invisible. As his lips parted in half a smile, I said to myself again, what moves me so deeply about the little prince is his loyalty to the flower. The image of a rose shining within him like a flame within a lamp, even when he's asleep. And I realized that he is even more fragile than I thought. Lamps must be protected. A gust of wind can blow them out. And walking like that, I found the well at daybreak. Chapter 25. The little prince said, people start out in express trains, but they no longer know what they're looking for. Then they get all excited and rush around in circles. Then he added, it's not worth the trouble. The well we had come to was not like the wells of the Sahara. The wells of the Sahara were no more than holes dug in the sand. This one looked like a village well, but there was no village here, and I thought I was dreaming. It's strange, I said to the little prince. Everything is ready, the pulley, the bucket, and even the rope. He laughed, grasped the rope, and set the pulley working, and the pulley groaned the way an old weather vane groans when the wind has been asleep for too long. Hear that? Said the little prince. We've awakened this well, and it's singing. I didn't want him to tire himself out. Let me do that, I said to him. It's too heavy for you. Slowly, I hoisted the bucket to the edge of the well. I set it down with great care. The song of the pulley continued in my ears, and I saw the sun glisten on the still, trembling water. I'm thirsty for that water, said the little prince. Let me drink some. And I understood what he'd been looking for. I raised the bucket to his lips. He drank, eyes closed. It was sweet as a feast. That water was not merely just a drink. It was a bourne of our walk beneath the stars. It was the song of the pulley, of the effort of my arms. It did the heart good, like a present. When I was a little boy, the Christmas tree lights, the music of the midnight mass, the tenderness of people's smiles made up, in the same way, the whole radiance of the Christmas present I received. People where you live, the little prince said, grow 5,000 roses in one garden, yet they don't know where to find what they're looking for. They don't find it, I answered. And yet, what they're looking for could be found by a single rose or a little water. Of course, I answered. And the little prince added, but eyes are blind. You have to look with the heart. I had drunk the water. I could breathe easy now. The sand at daybreak was honey-colored, and that color was making me happy, too. Why then did I also feel so sad? You must keep your promise, said the little prince, sitting up again beside me. What promise? You know, a muzzle for my sheep. I'm responsible for this flower. I took my drawings out of my pocket. The little prince glanced at them and laughed as he said, Your baobabs look more like cabbages. Oh, I had been so proud of the baobabs. Your fox, his ears look more like horns, and they're too long. And he laughed again. You're being unfair, my little prince, I said. I never learned how to draw anything but boas from the inside and boas from the outside. Oh, that'll be all right, he said. Children understand. So I drew a muzzle, and with a heavy heart I handed it to him. You've made plans I don't know about. But he didn't answer. He said, You know, my fall to earth. Tomorrow will be the first anniversary. Then, after a silence, he continued, I landed very near here. And he blushed. And once again, without understanding why, I felt a strange grief. However, a question occurred to me. Then it wasn't by accident that on that morning I met you, 8 days ago, you were walking that way, all alone, 1,000 miles from any inhabited region? Were you returning to a place where you fell to earth? The little prince blushed again. And I added, hesitantly, Perhaps on that account of the anniversary? The little prince blushed once more. He never answered questions. But when someone blushes, doesn't that mean yes? I said to the little prince, I'm afraid. But he answered, You must get to work now. You must get back on your engine. I'll wait here. Come back tomorrow night. I wasn't reassured. I remembered the fox. You risk tears if you let yourself be tamed.